Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about communication. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how do I communicate with my manager? I'm one of I'm one of those that find it hard to have a conversation, and I basically ask questions where and then he answers all the time, if that makes sense to you. Uh, well, yeah, I suppose that makes sense to a point. I mean, I haven't seen you converse. I can't get a perfect picture of what you're talking about here, but have dealing with people who have a bit of an issue talking to other people is something that I'm well familiar with. Now, if if you're not one of these people and you have a coworker like that, I find that it's really important many times to use your own social skills to help them out a little bit in group discussions and so forth, and try to stir them a little bit so that they actually get they not trigger them, but to invite them into the conversation. You've probably seen it 100 times before, where you might have a group discussion about something that involves everybody who is involved in the team, and there's always one or two people who never say anything. And sure, you need to figure out if that's because they don't really care about the situation, but if you get to know them, you might figure out that these are just shy people. And in situations like that, it's really important, in some cases, to actually just, when the talkers have been talking for long enough and they're kind of just circulating, at the very least just say, how do you feel about this thing? Because we've been saying all of this stuff. Do you feel this way as well? Because sometimes people do have, like, even the silent types have the best ideas, and it's just that they either are unsure about sharing it, or they feel uncomfortable sharing it, or they feel like, I'll let the other people talk because it's not that important and so forth. And then people, you lose out on that perspective. But for you to talk just you what you can do yourself. If you don't have socially competent coworkers who kind of can help you do this sort of thing, you can even ask them if you feel comfortable doing so. That, well, just remind me that I might have to put something in there, because the two most important things that you can do to fix this problem where you don't feel comfortable communicating is, number one, raise your self-worth, your personal self-worth, or your self-confidence. That's number one. Number two is to do the thing that you find hard. Go and talk to your manager, but a little bit more meta than that. Talk to your manager about talking to your manager, which is tougher, but it's probably going to help quite a lot. But let's talk about the most important thing first. So usually, at least what I find, is that when you have someone who has a hard time communicating, it is because they have a lot of insecurities. It doesn't necessarily have to be that they're not good at their job. They might be really, really good. I've seen some very senior developers simply never share anything because they feel uncomfortable around people. They don't feel comfortable sharing their thoughts, or they don't really know how to express them in a good way, and everybody else is always talking, and they feel like they can't really keep up, right? And in order to solve that, I really only have that tip for you. If you raise your self-confidence and you feel that you have value, and the ideas and thoughts that you have are relevant and produce a value for somebody else, it becomes so much easier for you to talk in a relaxed manner, because when you raise that self-value, a lot of the insecurity starts to fade away, and the voices that you might have in the back of your head, who keeps on trying to make you doubt yourself, or try to tell you that people don't like you, or that you are screwing up, or you're doing badly, or whenever something sort of happens and you read in, you might be overreading things, where someone says something in passing and that didn't turn out all that well, and all of a sudden you build up an entire world of, oh, this person must be thinking this and that about me, and all this self-doubt that comes with those internal voices. They get less and less the more confirmation you have that, you know what, I actually am doing a pretty good job. It does help, of course, here if you get to be a little bit of a emotional intelligence type of person, because when you start learning how to read people and understand that not everything is always as it seems, that that does help. with quieting out all of those voices. So that's number one. Raise your self-worth. Number two is to talk with your manager, meta talking. Basically go and talk to them about the fact that you can just start in a very relaxed way and just say like, I'm very sorry. I find it really hard sometimes to talk with you. It's not because of you. It's because I just feel a little bit insecure because of reasons. An example, I mean, a very common reason is if you're a junior developer, I feel like I'm not doing a really good job, and I really want to prove myself, and so forth. And that gives me a lot of stress when we talk. And I'm sorry if I'm not always as forthcoming with conversing and so forth. It's just that it's really hard for me. Now I am fully aware of that the things like the example I'm giving here is, I mean, that's easy for me because I can talk about it, and it's that this what I just said might be like a feat of strength, or like the world's hardest thing for someone who is a little bit on the shy side or more introvert. But I trust me when I say this. If your manager and you have a good enough relationship, and if that manager is worth anything, they will understand. And most likely what will happen is that they will actually, you will actually probably get a little bit closer. You will actually most likely create a better relationship between the two of you. And if you have a really good manager, they might actually ask the most important question they can ask in this situation. First, they will hopefully they will acknowledge and say, "Oh, yeah, I understand. I completely understand." And either they will soothe the situation, or they will ask, can we talk? Like, how can we work out a way for us to communicate more effectively? And they will go into solution mode with you. And now all of a sudden, you're talking, you're meta talking. You're talking about talking to see how you can improve your conversation abilities between the two of you. And it's very likely that it will actually make the situation at least a little bit better. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you find it hard to talk to your manager because of stress, or that you're not much of a converser, the first and most important thing you can do is to raise your self-worth, or your sensation of self-worth. Because a lot of what talking and effective communication is to be able to feel secure around other people. If you feel okay with having other people around, or sharing your thoughts and listening to them, and you feel heard and you feel like you understand what people are telling you, it usually drowns out the voices that we have to varying degree, all of us, that makes us doubt ourselves, or makes us believe that someone doesn't like us, or like we're doing a bad job, and so forth. All those internal worries that we have, they kind of get pushed aside a little bit, because in their place, confidence is built. You shouldn't go too far and become a douchebag, but it's usually better for you to be confident than second guessing yourself too much, at the very least. Second thing you can do is to have a meta talk about communication with your manager. Do this if you have a good enough relationship with the individual in question. Go and talk and just try to explain that it feels hard to talk to you, and just you can apologize for the entire thing. Just make it a very, very low key, very unhostile thing, and say that I sometimes feel that it's hard for me to respond appropriately, and I want to improve in that area. What can we do is there anything we can do to solve the situation? Can you help me make this a better situation? And if your manager is worth anything, they will try to help you here, because that is this thing that you're giving them. This is now you actually giving them a really big chance, because their job is to make you a productive individual. Their job is to make everybody productive, and you have no idea how common it is for managers to have to fire people because they're not talking enough, or have to discipline people when a situation could have been resolved so much quicker if they just felt comfortable talking to each other. Communication is the key component to resolving so many of your problems in the office space. Have a great day.